Welcome everybody who's joining me today for the class. As we always do at the start of the class, let's just gently connect with the breath. Just to slow the pace down a small little bit. If you're feeling in any way anxious about something, this is your opportunity to just slow your breath, calm the mind, and in turn then calm the body. So allowing your hands to just relax by your side. No focus at all yet to posture, just stand as you are. And if you feel comfortable, allow your eyes to float closed. If that's a little bit of an issue for you, if you feel a little bit more comfortable, softening your gaze and glancing towards the floor. And just notice your breathing. Notice the breath in and the breath out. And as you breathe, each time that you breathe out, allow the shoulders to relax just a little bit more. And as you breathe in, allow your rib cage to expand outwards. So we call this lateral thoracic breathing in Pilates. So by that we mean that the chest wall expands outwards, east-west as we breathe in, and relaxes inwards as we breathe out. And now let's take a deeper breath cycle, taking a longer breath in, breathe in nice and deeply. And exhale fully, breathe out fully, softening the shoulders as you do. And let's take one more breath as we are. And as you breathe out, slowly float your eyes open or lift your gaze. So our next thing that we do in Pilates, as I start the class always, is again to check in and see how the posture feels today, how we're feeling in all of the joints, how our spine position is. Always an indication of, if we just need to adjust it a small little bit, if we just need to correct it. So feet are slightly apart, just about a fist distance apart. Let's come up towards the knees now. So the knees are nice and soft, they're not bent and they're not locked tight. There's just a softness to them. Let's come up to the hip joints. So you're taking those ever so slightly forward. Just feel that lengthening across the hips as you do. It's just a gentle change of the position of your hip joints. Now let's come to the spine. So just notice that lengthening upwards as you get a little bit taller, as though there's something drawing you upwards there towards the top, upwards towards your ceiling, and feeling that like you're just getting a small little bit taller. And at the top of your spine, you're taking the shoulders gently out, like there's something drawing the shoulders wide. Imagine your collarbones here, smiling in front as they lengthen. So rather than pulling the shoulder blades together at the back, think instead of them widening. Then come back to the center, that core area, link between lower and upper body, and gently draw it back towards your spinal column. So it's just a mild contraction of the muscles there. Or if you want to incorporate pelvic floor, imagine you're zipping up a pair of jeans and you're drawing them upwards. Let's do that with a couple of breath cycles. So breathing in, draw them up. Breathing out, let them go. Breathing in, draw them up. Breathing out, let them go gently. Let's do one more. Breathing in. Breathing out. And now with the hands gently in front, bring them together. Breathe in and lengthen your spine upwards. Feel that stretch as you do. Breathing out, we're coming down again. Breathing in, we're lifting, lengthening the spine, just getting a nice stretch. Breathing out as we lower. Let's do one more. Breathing in. And breathing out. And now as you come down towards the side, let's get a couple of gentle movements side to side. Slow movements. Remember the flow of the breath as we started, how everything was nice and gentle. So just let everything lengthen down your side, gently move. Let's do one more each side. So this is lateral flexion of your spine. So what that means is gently you're taking your spine in a different direction, coming back to in front, as though you're holding something. Bend your knees, bend your hips, and allow your hands to drift slightly back. Come on back up to standing. Take the arms nice and wide. Stretch the chest and the shoulders. Come on back in again. Gently flow. Come on back up. Gently stretch. And now in that position, make a fist of both of your hands. Gently place them into your lower back and get a nice stretch across the chest and into the shoulders. And before we come down onto the floor, well, we'll be doing a couple of movements anyway, but I want to do another stretch here. So lengthening your arms down by your side, take your right foot behind your left. Move the feet around until you kind of feel comfortable on your feet, like you feel solid. Take the right hand up. Sit your right hip out as you gently flow with your arm towards your left. So we're stretching everything all down the side. This may challenge balance a small little bit here. If it does, either place your hand out in space, or if there's something beside you, a wall or a chair or something that you feel you can hold on to give you a sense of security. Slowly come back. Swap the position of your legs. Take the other one behind. Again, move them around until you feel solid. Other hand is up, and we're gently going over, stretching down the side here, up by our rib cage. So we're just targeting that length of tissue that goes down your side, down as far as your ankle, and particularly across the hip joint. We're really feeling it. Slowly come back. So our first movement is going to be our balance movement again. So with this, when we start, balance is something that I always like to include in class, just to check in and see how it is, and see if it's something that you feel you need to work on. So you're going to have your feet hip distance apart this time. So they'll be down from your hip joints, as women tend to stand kind of with the feet a little bit further in. So sway the body weight over towards the right. Get a sense of the change of position. Sway it over towards the left. Again, change the position. Sway it over to the right. Now hold it there and come up onto the toes of the left foot. So let's move the arms as we move our leg. Breathing in to begin. Breathing out. Take your foot off the floor and bend your elbows. Breathing in as you return. Gentle movement, nice and slow with the flow of the breath. Breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in. I think sometimes with an upper body movement, as we do this, it kind of takes your focus a little bit away from what your leg is doing if your balance is challenged. Let's do two more. Breathing out. Breathing in, return. Now we'll try and hold it this time. Breathing out. Let's hold for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and relax. Placing that foot down from your hip joint, from your left hip, flow the weight of the body towards the left, flow it towards the right, flow it back towards the left again and hold it there. Come up onto the toes of the right foot. Gently draw your core in. We're still conscious of our spine, hands down by your side. Breathing in to begin. Breathing out as you float. Breathing in as you turn. As you return, breathing out. Breathing in. Let's try a few more. Breathing out. Breathing in. Focus on your core, focus on the upper body. Breathing out. Breathing in. Now let's try one more. We're going to breathe out and we're going to hold for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and relax. So you may find that one side of the body, the balance is a little bit more challenged if you're right or left side dominant, and you're a little bit more challenged maybe on this side that you're not dominant. That's all it is. So I have the cushion here for one of the movements that we're going to do down on the floor. That's going to involve a little bit of kneeling should you have any issues with your knees. Let's stand to the back of our mat. Actually, I want to do another movement before we get down to the floor. So again, feet are just slightly apart. I want to do side kick, this kind of movement here in kneeling, and standing rather, because when we get down to kneeling, it might be a bit of a challenge to put your leg out. So let's do it here. Let's bring the hands to the shoulders. Come up onto the toes of the right foot. Breathing in to begin. Breathing out. Take your arms straight up and your leg out. Breathing out. Lengthening upwards and coming back in. Let's do 3 more. So we're moving the shoulder joints upwards into a position, let's face it, that you wouldn't normally move into. And we'll do 2 more. Drawing your core in, lengthening your spine, and last one. And now coming back, switch legs, arms are still there. Breathing in to begin, breathing out. Breathing in as you return. So the purpose of the side kick is to take the leg out in the hip joint into a direction that you wouldn't normally take it in. As we're walking, we're taking the leg forward always. Let's do 2 more. Conscious of spine position, draw your core in, breathing in. Last one, breathing out and breathing in. Now let's come to the back of our mat. So let's take a big step forward, coming down to where your foot is in front of your knee, so that when you come forward, if you can, you're stretching the back of the hip. So this would be where you could put a cushion in underneath that knee joint, just to, if there's any challenge in this position with your knee down onto the floor. We're initially propping ourselves up, and then we do a little bit of a change of a movement where we're going to move the shoulder while we still stretch the hip joint a little bit here. So you're just feeling that nice lengthening across your hip. Now come back ever so slightly from there, just slightly. Take your 2 hands straight out in front. So if you have your right leg forward, we're going to move the left arm up and over and around. Now if it's a thing that you have the left leg forward, you're going to move the right arm up and over, follow it around with your gaze. So you're kind of getting a bit of a rotation on the spine. This is going to challenge balance a small little bit here maybe. Easing around. Let's do 1 more. So you're kind of feeling you have to grip the floor with both legs as you do this movement. And relax down. Let's change positions. Come down onto the other knee, and again, if there's any issue with this knee joint, take your cushion and place it underneath it, or your pillow. Foot in front, well in front, and ease forward again. So we're stretching the back hip first. And see if you can flatten your foot as well behind a little bit. You just might find that it helps to stretch across your foot and up towards your shin. But if you have any issue with this particular joint on this side, or either side, you could come up onto your toes. Just that makes it a little bit easier if you feel your foot cramps a little bit. So while we have ourselves propped up, we're getting a nice stretch across the back hip joint. And now we're slowly coming back a little bit, and we're taking the 2 hands in front. So whatever knee is in front, you're doing the opposite arm. You're taking it up and over and around behind you and back around in front. So again, we're just challenging posture here, finding that we're getting a nice rotation on the shoulder joint. Let's do 2 more. Lift up and over and around. And if you can, kind of turn as you're doing it to watch more or less where your arm is gone, and then come back around and come back out from there. Let's come down onto our box position. So hands are under shoulders, knees are under hips. Let's get a little bit of a lengthening on the spine before we do our first movement. Let's push the floor away and arch our back upwards towards the ceiling. So hold that briefly now for just a couple of seconds. Just notice that lovely stretch all along your spinal column with that curve. Now holding that curve, slowly take your hips back towards your feet. Gently, slowly, slowly, slowly stretch. So with the curve maintained in your spine, you should notice a nice extra little bit of a stretch on your back. And as you go back, creep those fingers forward a little bit.
and get that extra bit of a lengthening on your back. Now we're coming back slowly from there, bringing the hands back under the shoulders, and we're arching towards the floor as we look forward. Just again to change the position of our spine a little bit. And then we're going to push the floor away once more. Arch the back upwards. Hold the position there. Really keep that good stretch now as you arch. And holding the arch, slowly sit your hips back towards your feet, gently lengthening everything. Slowly stretching, and as you do, kind of tiptoe your fingers forward and get that extra stretch into the lower back. And slowly coming out from there, hands back under your shoulders again, curve towards the floor to take the spine in the other direction. So we've gone towards the floor and away from the floor. So come back into the center with your lower back. So it's not arched off the floor, it's not arched towards the floor, it's into the center, and there's where our neutral spine. So we're going to do leg pull prone here, which most people call plank or know it as the plank. And I'm going to give you variations here, just depending on what your strength is like and your knees are like. So first of all, you have your hands under your shoulders. You're going to lengthen one leg back. So this is, we'll stay with this one here if you wish for a couple of breath cycles. You're drawing your core in and you're not tilting to the side. So if you prefer to stay with this, hold this for 4 breath cycles and then swap legs. If you are able to, lengthen the other leg back and hold the 2 of them in place. So our hips aren't up high and they're not down low. You'll find the challenge is there if you have the hips in the right position, if your core is working to hold the position here. So if you've done your 4 breath cycles, change legs, bring the other knee down and the other leg lengthened. And we're holding for another 4 breath cycles. Breathe, and at any stage, lower your knees to the floor if you wish and come back up again. Gently lengthening, feel that lengthening in the spine, draw the core in, and let's bring the knees back down. Well done. So we're strengthening wrist joints there in that position. Let's take the knees wide, feet together, and sit yourself back towards your feet. Now, if it's a bit of a challenge to keep your hands in front here, bring them back, make a fist of one, a fist of the other, and just rest your forehead on your fists. But if you can place your hands long in front, great. And just again, we're stretching the lower back a little bit. And now in the position where your hips are staying where they are, walk your hands over towards the left and get a lengthening down the right hand side of your back. Gently stretching. And then walk the hands back into center and over to the other side, easing into the stretch on the other side of your back. Holding it again for a couple of seconds just to let everything lengthen. And come on back up from there, back into center and come back up. So this next movement that we're going to do is going to be the one that I was talking about, where we're going to be doing side kick kneeling. So if you want to take your cushion and bring it in under one knee, let's say, while you work on the other, just it feels a little bit kinder to your knee, by all means do that. Otherwise, just as you are. So your option here, you have 2 options here. We're going to work with the right side of the body first. So if you can, extend the leg out to the right. Now, if you find this causes a bit of an issue for the outside of the hip here, then by all means, bring the knee back in and stay as you were. So leg extended. Just place your fingertips just behind your ears gently, so we're not pulling on the head or the neck. Breathing in as you bend away from the leg, that's out. Breathing out as you come back up. Breathing in, breathing out. So we're not tilting forward. We're very conscious that we're staying with the elbows back. They're not going to be in your peripheral vision, if that makes sense. You shouldn't really see them if you were to kind of glance to your sides without moving your head. You shouldn't really see them. Breathing out as you come back up.
Let's do 2 more. We're gently bending and slowly coming back up, using the core each time to come back up. Ease over and slowly come back up. Let's take the hands down briefly for a second. Bring the knee back in and sit back, and I'll explain what we're going to do next. So our next movement, we're going to go to the other direction. I'm just giving you a bit of a breather to the hip joint here, and we're going to pulse in that direction. So come on back up again, take the leg out. And again, you don't have to have the leg out. If you don't want to, you can keep the knee down. Again, place the fingers just behind your ears. We're slowly going towards the leg. And then in this position here, we're going to pulse for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and come on back. Lowering the hands, let's come into our Z-sit position. So on this side here, we're going to sit up nice and tall. So your left hand is out to the side, you're taking your right hand up, you're bending the left elbow, and you're easing over. Gently stretch everything down your side. Breathe. And come on back up. Placing that hand down in front of your open shin, keeping the shoulders nice and wide, you're folding forward. Gently go forward, bringing your core towards your leg rather than your shoulders to your knee, if that makes sense. Because I want to target what's behind, your hip joint behind, and keeping the shoulders wide, but taking core towards your leg targets that hip joint at the back a little bit. Come on back up from there. Take your foot slightly forward here, and again fold forward. Ease into the stretch, nice and gently. Noticing the slight change in the stretch because we've just changed the position of the leg a little bit in the hip joint. Come on back up again. Bring that foot back in. And now take this hand and place it here on your ankle or on your shin. Take your left hand, if this is what you're working with, and go against the joints. You won't go terribly far on this side, either side, as we do this one, because you're going against the joints and it's just a little bit more challenging. And then slowly return. 2 hands down, bring yourself back into kneeling position again, and now we're going to work the other side of the body. So again, prop the cushion under your knee if there's any issue. Place the other leg out to the side. So again, if you find there's an issue with this hip joint, bring the knee back down and work in that position there. Place your fingers behind your head. Now you're conscious of core always and the position of your spine. Breathing in as you tilt away from the leg. Breathing out as you come back up. So you're getting your core to work each time. Breathing out, use it to come back up each time. Get it working so your hands aren't bringing you up. It's your core that's bringing you up. Let's do 2 more. Breathing in, breathing out. Well done, last one. Breathing in, breathing out. Well done. Now in this position here, or again with your knee down, let's go in the other direction. And we're pulsing for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and come on back up. Bring yourself down into the other side of Z-sit. So knees wide again. If you ever find it's a bit of a challenge, you can bring the knees closer together. We can do the stretch anyway. We're placing the right hand down, left hand is up, bend the right and ease over. Again, we're just lengthening everything down our side, slowly stretching everything, and then come on back up. Place that hand down in front of the open shin here and fold forward. Again, your focus is your core towards your leg rather than your shoulders to the knee, to target this hip joint on the back on this side. Just let everything gently, slowly lengthen. And then slowly come back up. Now let's move this leg out a little bit, just to target the hip joint a little differently with a change in the position. Fold forward. Again, gently, slowly stretch. Wait and see how it is with this change of position of the leg and how it affects the hip joint. And then slowly come back up.
Bring the foot back in. Place your hand on your leg over here. Take this one up, and as you gently hold the other leg, we're tilting. Again, you're not going to go very far. We're going against the joints. A little bit of a challenge, but again, the more you do stretches, the easier they become. And then slowly come back. Let's bring our feet out from beneath us. Our next movement is going to be rolling back, and then we'll do a couple of stretches on the floor. So we're in sitting position and our sits bones are beneath us. Tiptoe your feet back towards your glutes and hands either underneath your legs here or out to the front here. I was doing this in class the other day, and I was suggesting level 1, which is hand down on the floor with your fingertips forward, but everybody actually found this one a little bit easier. So take your attention for a second to the distance between your leg and your chest. You want that to stay the same because you don't want that momentum of the legs coming close to the chest to bring you back up. We're conscious of our spine, we're sitting nice and tall. We're going to curve the lower back towards the mat. And as we do, we're going to lift the toes up. We're coming back towards the shoulders, and then we're coming back up. Feet back down. So again, hands underneath, or hands here, or hands to the side. Roll back. Keep those knees from coming too close to the chest. So you're just going back as far as the shoulder blades, not back onto the shoulders and your neck, and your core is pulling you back up. Breathing in, breathing out. Let's do 3 more. Get the core working each time if you can. And of course the option is always there to just go back a little bit and back forward. If you have that kind of nervousness about going back, you could just go back a little bit and then come back up. Let's do 2 more. Like all Pilates teachers, I've lost count. Last one, and come on back up. Let's lower ourselves back to the floor. Take the feet wide of each other and flop the 2 of them to the left. Keep that right shoulder where it is on the floor. And we'll just do a little bit of a stretch for the hip joints because we've done a couple of movements there where the hips were closed. And this is just getting them a little bit of an opening and a stretch. Now take your right hand up behind you and stretch all down your side. Get a gentle lengthening, extra lengthening across the hip joint. Now take your hand straight out from your shoulder and stretch the chest and the shoulder this time with this side. And now if you can, change the position of that elbow. So your palm is faced upwards towards the ceiling. Bend the elbow and your knuckles are down towards the floor. So it's kind of in line with your face. And then slowly relax down. Bring the 2 knees back up, flop them over to the other side, and get a lengthening across your left hip joint this time. So the wider your feet are, the more you're going to get a stretch on that hip joint. And now take your left hand straight up behind you. Just get that lengthening. Breathe. And now take the arm straight out to the side. Get that stretch across the shoulder and into the chest muscles. And now change the position of that hand. Bend the elbow and palm faced upwards, same as your face is, just to get that extra stretch across the hip, across the chest and into the shoulder. As you stretch in the other direction, you have the upper part of the body going in upper part of the body going in one direction and legs going in another direction. So you're kind of getting a bit of a twist on the spine as well. Lower that hand down by your side. Bring the 2 feet back in. Let's get our piriformis stretch. Take your right ankle and sit it on your left knee, wherever it will sit, and gently press it away first, just to open the hip joint a small little bit. Relax the shoulders. And then take your 2 hands onto that shin and guide it in towards your chest, holding it there, feeling that lengthening across your hip at the back, down your leg, maybe a little bit into your back. I mean, everything is connected anyway, so you're not just going to stretch one part of the body, you're always going to incorporate some other part of it as well. And now can you change the position of that right elbow or right palm press the knee away a bit as you still draw the shin inwards. So we're just changing the stretch a small little bit, lengthening even more. And slowly relax. Place the foot back down, swap sides. Your left ankle is going onto your right knee. You're pressing it away gently. Gently pushing the knee outwards and taking the leg out in the hip joint a little bit. And now place your two hands on that shin and guide it slowly in towards your chest. Get that gentle lengthening. So we're not pushing the knee away just yet. We're breaking down the stretch into stages. So we're letting everything lengthen, and then when it has and it's comfortable with you going a little bit further, then we take it the stretch a little bit further. So reposition your left elbow or your left palm against that left knee. You're still drawing the shin inwards, but you're pushing the knee away, changing the stretch ever so slightly. And then gently lowering the 2 feet to the floor, lengthen them as far as they'll go, point your toes, take your hands behind your head and stretch and reach in each direction. Get a nice full body lengthening. And now point your toes upwards towards the ceiling and change the stretch down the back of your legs and take your hands straight out to the side. Getting again a stretch across the chest and into the shoulders as you stretch the back of the legs. And now just gently relax everything. Find a position that you're comfortable in for just a couple of seconds as we finish with our focus on the breath. So that could be as you are with your feet flopped out, hands down by your side, and gently floating your eyes closed, or coming to kneeling or to seated. And again, we just take our attention to the breath. So thanks for joining me today, and if you'd like to relax a little bit longer after the session is finished, by all means do that. So if you'd like to float your eyes closed, and once again we'll bring our attention to our breath. Noticing the shoulders relax as you breathe out. Feeling the chest wall expand as you breathe in. And relax as you breathe out. Softening the muscles around your face. Down into your jaw. I'm breathing in. I'm breathing out. And breathe.